delighted to again welcome another young diplomat who's deputy head of mission of Italy to India, Marcella Zaccagnino. I hope I've pronounced your name correctly. She's a career diplomat at the of the Italian Foreign Service since 2003, although she looks like she's just out of school or college. and she was posted at the Embassy of Italy in New Delhi since September of 2021. She was previously head of division at the Directorate General for the European Union of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Italy, and was responsible for economic and financial affairs of the EU. She served in Ankara, what a lovely place to be in, before, and 2012 to 2016, and previously as consulate at the Consulate General of Italy in Shanghai from 2008 to 2012. Your ambassador actually has spoken about how deep the ties are between India and Italy in these troubled times very recently, and talked about how there are several avenues of collaboration that still are being explored. And the fact that you come from a country that has recently elected a woman as Prime Minister, and which has changed the nature in sense of the politics. It's particularly significant, your presence here. And I extend our regards to Ambassador De Luca as well for all that he said about India's positive role in building and fostering the relationship with Italy. So there are several questions to you, but one would be, Italy, like India, is a society that places a very high premium on family values and community. And as Italy is the gender champion of the EU now, what do you see as the changing phase of women's trajectory in Italy and the EU as more and more women assume leadership positions and also in the workplace? Also, very interestingly, what are women doing to combat the mafia in Italy, as they seem to be doing in a very spirited manner? Yeah. So over to you, Marcella. Look forward. And thank you really for being here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So a number of difficult questions and difficult to speak after what we heard. If you allow me, I would first of all thank Dr. Gopinath and WISCOMP and the European Union delegation for organizing this event. As it has been mentioned, the Embassy of Italy is in this semester, actually in the semester that started in October and that will last until March next year. We are the European Union gender champions, so we are dedicated an extra part of our activities to the promotion of gender empowerment. During these 6 months, we are organizing a number of events at the embassy and in cooperation with Indian partners under many points of view, addressing the topic of gender equality and women empowerment. And my presence here is another, I'll say, contribution to that effort, as we are not introduced in our semester agenda an event dedicated to women building peace and women in security, which is actually a very relevant topic. So before going back to the questions, if you don't mind, I would also like to share with you the experience of Italy in implementing the agenda Women, Peace and Security, what we have been doing with our national plan. And one initiative that I think is quite relevant to today's topic, which is from local to the international, which is the experience of the Mediterranean network of women mediators that Italy is promoting. So let me say, first of all, that Italy has been one of the countries that has, from the very beginning, supported the UN agenda, Women, Peace and Security. We have been among those who have since the very beginning, favored the adoption of Resolution 1325 back in 2000, and one of the main priorities of our foreign policy is promoting its implementation at various levels, including international organizations of which we are members, starting from, of course, the UN, the European Union, the OECD, NATO, but we are also active in the G7 forum. As I said, Italy has implemented a national action plan for the implementation of the agenda Women, Peace and Security. We started back in 2010. Now we are at our fourth national action plan, which covers the year from 2020 to 2024. It has been decided that the next plan, the fifth, would start in 2025, so marking the 25th anniversary from the adoption of Resolution 1325. What is also important to mention is that many countries have adopted national action plans, as has been said, but not many of them have allocated specific financing. Yeah, Italy instead has a budget of 3 billion euro for the fourth year. Is not 3 million euro. Sorry, is not that much, but is I mean, it's already a beginning, and we have been consistent. Our parliament, at least, has been consistent in providing the financing to the plan along the years. What is very important to mention is that the approach whereby the plan is drafted is a multi-stakeholder inclusive approach. So there is a huge role that is given to civil society, but also to academia, to media. The experience of negotiating the plan 2020-2024 was very interesting because it was all done virtually because of COVID. But still, the effort was fruitful, and so many actors were brought around the table, and the plan is actually the result of the consultation of all of these different actors. Different actors, of course, they interact with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Defense, together with the Interministerial Committee for Human Rights, that are the main, let's say, institutional pillars supporting the actions of the plan. And they are also in charge of the main part of its implementation. But there is a very important role also for academia and for the media. And if you allow me to go through the plan for a couple more minutes, you will see how these actors intervene. So the plan has two main goals and four principal lines of action. The goals, of course, they are very consistent with the principles of Resolution 1325. So the first one is reducing the impact of conflicts on women and children by promoting their participation in the processes of prevention, mitigation, and resolution of conflicts, as well as in decision-making at every level. And the second goal is raising awareness and advocating for the implementation of the Women, Peace and Security agenda. The lines of action, they are also quite, how to say, coherent with what has been mentioned before. So the first one is reinforcing the role of women in peace processes and decision-making by promoting their participation in mediation, peace building, disarmament, reconstruction, transitional justice, and so on. Let me underline disarmament, because this is also an area where not all the national plans are focusing and are seeing a role for women. The second line of action is that of mainstreaming a gender perspective in peacekeeping operation through specific training, and especially by increasing the presence of women in the army and in police, including at the top level. So here, role modeling, specific training, and putting the emphasis on the need for women to be more present and to have a career inside the army, inside the police, is very relevant. The third line of action is promoting gender parity, women empowerment, and protection of women and girls in conflict areas, and the respect of human rights in conflict and post-conflict scenarios. Because one of the basics of our understanding of women, peace, and security is that it's a matter of human rights. So the dimension of the phenomenon of violence against women and girls is so huge that it's a matter of human rights. And the fourth line of action is that of reinforcing result-oriented advocacy in favor of women, peace and security agenda, and about Resolution 1325, both nationally and internationally. And here is where, again, the academia and the media come into play, because part of the actions that the plan is also financing is the introduction of gender studies in university courses and gender mainstreaming in a number of in a number of university courses, curricula, even in schools. And the role of the media is, of course, extremely relevant. Not only official media, but always and more informal and social media. Then this said, the National Action Plan is the framework through which Italy also secures its financing and support to one initiative that we deem very important, which is the Regional Women Mediator Networks. As today's discussion is also based on how to connect the local to the international, I think this is a good example that could be brought to the attention of today's of the participants and the people that are here today with us. So this started in 2017. As part of its mandate in the Security Council and its presidency of the G7, Italy established the Mediterranean Women Mediators Network, which is a network of over 60 mediators and mediation experts from 20 countries of the Mediterranean region. The main goal of this network is that of facilitating the appointment of high-level women mediators at local and international level, because it has been said before, you can have mediators, but if you don't use them, then it's totally useless. Of course, the focus of this first network for Italy is that of the Mediterranean is quite natural because of our geographical position. Mediterranean is our neighborhood, so that's why we are interested in that area. But also because, unfortunately, and we can see it also today, the area is somehow conflict-prone, unfortunately. So the network conducts a wide range of activities, some of them also local. So they have established local antennas that organize events even on a smaller scale. Of course, the network is regional, so again, it's more than 20 countries. But through the antenna system, they are able to organize specific initiatives also at the grassroots level, which is something very relevant, because there is where the change starts. But from this local and grassroots level, we easily reached a global dimension, because little by little other networks were born around the globe. And now they have gathered into the Global Alliance of Regional Women Mediator Networks. So again, from local immediately to global. And I'm happy to share that there are 6 networks that are part of the Global Alliance, and they are from Africa, from the Nordic countries, from Arab countries, from Southeast Asia, and from the Commonwealth. But there are also new networks recently established in the Pacific and in Latin America. So there is the potential for the Global Alliance to further expand. So this said, yes, it has been mentioned that Italy has a strong sense of family, strong sense of community, and we also have a prime minister who's a woman, which is a great piece of news in a country which had never had anything like that before. Is this changing slowly, very, very slowly? I think in our country it is more or less the same as everywhere. We are seeing a sort of pushback when it comes to women's rights. So it is very important to keep the attention very high, not to give in to any of the rights that have been affirmed through how to say, the fight of many feminists before us. So it is very important to keep the attention very high. What is happening around the world is unfortunately very discouraging, because it has been said already, in conflicts women and girls are disproportionately hit. So we are now seeing the shift, the focus of Resolution 1325, that was not only on protection but also on the active role that women could have in promoting peace, moving back to protection, because there is an enormous need of protection right now. So this is something very, very scary. This is a tendency that we have to contrast as much as we can, because it has been said the same way as India has proposed a women-led development, we need to make sure that we have a women-led peace. So this is something that we cannot forget. So it is absolutely important, first of all, to protect women and girls in conflict areas, but it is also fundamental not to forget that they have to play a role. Otherwise, there won't be a true peace. A peace that is not a fair peace, that is a peace that neglects 50% of the population, cannot be a sustainable one. So we really need the full and meaningful involvement of women and girls in peace processes, else peace will only be very fragile. I will stop here. Thanks.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for highlighting the role of the Women Mediators Network, which a couple of colleagues around this room are engaged with in our part of, in the Southeast Asia and so on. So thank you for holding out that hope. And of course, your point is very well taken, that when women assume positions of leadership, the real challenge is both in the foreign policy, feminist foreign policy space, and in the political space, that they don't get socialized into masculine notions of power, and then bring other voices on board. Thank you ever so much.